Tendai Mawari, how are you all? Oh, y'all ready to hear from me? Hey, my family, I miss you all. You know, I've been there twice. It feels like I've been there forever. But I say Tendai Mawari to you all and the Alkebu-Lan revivalist movement and Brother Leader, always love for you. You're like a brother from another mother, you know, in the spiritual world. Brother Shakara, Brother Olatunji, and all of the family there. It's such a pleasure to be with you all. We all have exonerated Garvey a long time ago, but now we're calling on every African that quotes Garvey or talks about Garvey. We want them to exonerate Garvey. And our President General has the vision of not only calling on the African race to exonerate Garvey, but we must emulate his works, words, and deeds in the 21st century so we can complete the work. What I will say to all of you all is, as I said to you when I was there, you know, we have the spiritual power once we know who we are, to be self-determined, self-reliant, and to do what we need to do for ourselves. Africa has been calling on us for many, many years. Many of us have answered the call, but not enough of us has came to the table. So what we're doing now, this Mosiah month, Black August, also African Heritage Month, and it's no coincidence that those three things bounce together because the ancestors got us. They've been waiting and watching for a long time. It's our duty, our obligation, not to let Mosiah, the Right Excellent Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, down. For he told us he would be a terror in the whirlwind, and it's very important for us to understand there's power in the ancestral realm because there's more ancestors than it is us. Unfortunately, we are faced with some of the same conditions that we were faced with during the REN and the rise of Garvey and the UNIA-ACL. So we in the Universal Negro Improvement Association African Communities League, RSC 2020, are continuing to work and will be continuing to work forever as long as we're above dirt and even after that, because we will too be joining the works of our illustrious ancestors. So I encourage you all, continue to do the work of the Alkebu-Lan revivalist movement, which is the work of the Right Excellent Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey and so many ancestors that came before us. We over here in the wilderness of North America, I like to call it Babylon, the home of Babylon. We are continuing to do the work on August the 31st, and you will hear from our President General, but we move like a team. We've always moved like a team. As I served 8 years as the ninth successor to the Right Excellent Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, I was engulfed with the ancestral spirit, and without my good brother Baba Akili Nkrumah, who was in the UNIA long before me, studied under Thomas W. Harvey, we moved as a team then, we move as a team now. So it does not matter which one of us are in the hot seat. We both are carrying on this legacy along with so many others. Our High Commissioner General of the UK, none other than Brother Leader Bindaka, our Ambassador of the UK, Shakara, and all of the works that have been going on for Garvey are connected globally, and now we're working to connect and build on the ground on the continent. I'm happy to tell you all that we just got a member from Gambia. We're doing great work in Gambia, going to be doing a tribute to Garvey on his Earth Day in Gambia, in the library in Gambia. Thanks to our brother Chief Fode, who is the West African ambassador of West Africa, and he's based in Sierra Leone. He's an expatriate, very powerful brother who has also passed the course of African philosophy. So many of us are all over doing the work. So despite the fact that we are still being licked, kicked, and abused, and now our President General is coming in right now, it is critical for us to be aware that we're winning. We're not losing. It looks like we're losing because we're losing so many of our youth, unfortunately, in the street, some by the police and some by their own hands. Brother PG, it's good to see you. And we go, you know, I'm just doing a little short welcoming to our family there, and I was just briefing them on how important it is for us not only to move as a team, but as one. And as I have made it clear to everybody, that as I served as President General, you were always right there with me even before I was elected. And if it were not for the Nkrumah clan, I probably wouldn't even stuck in the UNIA because I was an anxious 20-some-year-old ready for the revolution. And the elders set us aside and said, look, learn this. my good brother Tony Martin, my good brother Farouk Muhammad, my good brother Yoko Rashidi, all of those ancestors in the whirlwind with the likes of Edward Wilmot Blyden, and so many sisters. Let me be very clear. We are clear as African brothers that African sisters rule. There is nobody on the planet that would have life if it were not for the black woman. So without any further ado, I'm not gonna hold my PG up because I know both him and I have a lot on our agenda today, but it's so critical to have him here with us because Brother Bendaka, like Baba Akili's like a brother from another mother, and we all brothers in the spirit, and ain't nobody gonna ever separate us. In fact, the work that we're doing is becoming more aware to some of the brothers and sisters coming along. But as our President General always said, we're building for the next 100 years, and we're taking it year by year. So without any further ado, I say, Tendai Morari.
Tendai Morari. Garvey lives.
Nobody can take away our great traditional greatness that goes back to the ancient techniques, the pyramids. And we are going to rise and we're going to take control. So without any further ado, I leave you in the words of Tendai Morari. To God be the glory.
Tendai Morari. Hotep. I can get a response. Tendai Morari. Garvey lives. Yeah. You know, as I thought about speaking today to this distinguished group, I will take some of these from my brother Senghor Baye because it's not about the title, it's about the love, the respect, the honor, and the work. You do the work, it's what it's about. Over 100 years ago, the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey came forth with a concept. His concept was that African men and women needed to have a nation for themselves. They needed to have a nation that could speak to the world on their behalf. Right. No ifs, and buts, or maybes. Every other group had a nation. Yeah. We were splintered. We were exploited. We were shipped around the world. Our country was ravaged. Our continent was ravaged. My apology. Our continent was ravaged. They set us against each other by setting us on their platform and their plane. Right. You became an English African. You became a French African. You became a Swedish African. You became those things that work against you being African. And I know that there's some that say, but Baba Akili, you're still the Universal Negro Improvement Association. And as my teacher taught me, until we have scientific par excellence to rename the race that we're in. Rename the race. It may not be Africa. It may not be African. Rename the race if Negro is a challenge. But nonetheless, that is the racial description of all of us, no matter where you are, no matter what you stand for, no matter where you are at this point in time, you are of that Negroid race. And so let's not have that as an issue. I know some folks don't like it. I mean, categorically, Senghor said when he came, he was fired up. I had the opportunity to ask Thomas W. Harvey, why can't we change the name to the Universal African Improvement League Association in the African communities? And when we had the African Communities League, why can't we bring the Universal African? He said, hold on, son. He said, wait a minute. And the lesson he gave me was a lesson about race. He said, there are three races. Caucasianoid, you ain't that. Mongoloid, you ain't that. Negroid, I think that's what you are. So he made that race. But let's move forward. I want to move forward because the idea of having our own nation today is just as powerful, just as important. Look at what happened not that long ago. I think it was St. Petersburg. The Urugu, as Senghor likes to call them, the Urugu went again and attacked African men and women that are working for their liberation. We are all suspect to that. We are all subjectable to being assaulted by the establishment that wants to control our destiny. And as we get stronger, we know we're going to generate even more of an attack. And we're prepared. Because we know what we're doing is on the right side of Garveyism. And it's not Garvey, it's the man, it's Garvey the actions, the deeds. Garvey didn't go every place, but every place that caught fire with Garvey's concept loved Garvey. He didn't get everywhere. And at a point after his forced incarceration here in the United States and England and other governments worked to keep him from traveling anywhere. But that concept of nationhood was like fire as it spread across the land. And therefore you now today have 55, what I call nation states. You may call them nations. Because I say a nation state because they should be a state in the African nation, and therefore we will have 55 states with 55 governors. But we will build a government based on the African concept of democracy. Not this European thing, because we know they ain't trying to have no democracy. We ain't lacking and misunderstanding where we are and what we're doing. We recognize that we have to move forward. I say to you, the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey and those men and women from 1920 through all the way through the time of his transition, all the way through the first split, the second split. Yeah, there were splits. We understand our history, but we understand that even when they split, if you work for the ideals of the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, you found unity. Anytime you can't find unity based on those ideals, you can't find unity based on the work, you are not a Garveyite. We're moving forward to enshrine not just Garvey, but to enshrine those concepts that work. What Charles L. James say, if you can't hammer it out on the anvil of reason, put it to the side. Put it to the side. If me and you can't find agreement, put it to the side, because the one thing we have to agree on is the liberation of our people. It is moving us forward. It is gathering that independence that ensures that our children's children stand on land that is ours. Then we are recognized throughout the world for the actions that we've done. To that point, our mission here in 2022 is to exonerate the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Exonerate him. We exonerate God. I'm not asking any government, not even those governments on the continent of Africa, to exonerate him. I ask those countries on the continent of Africa to stand with us and declare his exoneration. Let the world hear us say, we exonerate God. We do. People ask, well, what about things he did wrong? What about him? There isn't a man or woman amongst us that hasn't done something wrong. I'm not going to admonish him for that. I'm not going to attack him for that. Oh, well, he bullied people. I'm going to say, no, Garvey probably didn't bully anybody, but that didn't mean some of his people didn't bully somebody. But just because they bullied somebody to try to move us forward doesn't take away from the fact that the Right Excellent Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey gave his life. His life for us to be where we are today. And you may say, well, we ain't far. Yes, we are. We are further than we were because we know who we are. We know what we want. We know we are capable of doing it. We know we can accomplish the task. We know that. And that's what we have to make sure we put forward so that those who come behind us know that they can complete this task. Listen, I didn't get in this fight yesterday. I'm not getting out this fight tomorrow. But when I leave this fight, you will say there was a warrior amongst us that followed the path of the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. You will say Senghor was a warrior amongst us that followed that path. You will say Brother Bendaka was a warrior who followed that path. And then you will name other men and other sisters. You will name those sisters. Dr. Chinzira, a warrior queen that followed that path. You understand? Marcus Mosiah Garvey's wife, Amy Jacques Garvey, a queen who followed that path for liberation. See, so it's not just us. Amy Ashwood Garvey, a queen who followed that path. Oh, brothers, turn to your queen and tell her and call her name, because she will follow that path. This mission will be accomplished, if not in my day, in my children's day. Because we are now on the correct path. The reason we started the Rehabilitating Committee of 2020 is because it was essential to make sure that the UNIA-ACL stayed on the right path. I stand against no one who stands for Garvey, but I stand for what Garvey stood for, and that is nation building. If you do the work and we disagree, let's meet at the corner where the work meets and still be okay. You ain't gotta like me, just work with me. Meet me where the work brings us together. The work has brought us together today. We are now one. We are now sharing the same mission. You say, well, we were sharing the same mission before. I agree. But now we've come together face to face. We share the same mission. We want the same accomplishments. We want the same thing. That is an independent African nation based on African democratic principles. That's what we want. That's what we live for. That's what you work for. That's what you sacrifice for. That is the only way we move forward. Understanding and realizing that here we are in 2022. In 1922, we were 2 years young. In 1922, we were 2 years young. In 2022, we are seasoned, because I'm not going to call us old. We're seasoned. That's right, seasoned and focused. Our numbers may seem small, but all around you, the men and women of our race are getting less and less in bed with that which oppresses us. They're changing directions. The reason we have such wanton violence in our community is because we have to learn to appreciate who we are. Because what they have put in our heads is that there is only one way and you got to be top dog. No, you don't. You got to be able to run with the pack. Run with the pack. Work with the pack. And you have to love what you look at in the mirror. If you love what you see in the mirror, then the brother that looks like you will love him too. The sister that looks like your sister, you will love her too. So you breed respect, you breed support, you breed family development, growth, you breed Ujima, you breed those principles by the concepts of seeing each other. Look in the mirror and love what you see. That's why I say we seasoned, not old. We ain't gave up, we just getting started. Saying we just getting started. We just getting prepared to move forward. I say it, I'm going to say it again. The Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, truly a man on a mission. Truly a man on a mission. And it's his mission that is now our mission. I didn't know Mr. Garvey directly, but I learned from Thomas W. Harvey, Charles L. James, Sister Isaacs, who learned from Marcus Mosiah Garvey in his first class of students. His first class of students. They didn't always agree either, but they always did Garvey's work. You say, well, Garvey's work? Working for the race. This Mosiah month, this is holding Garvey on high. This Mosiah month, August 17th, birthday of Messiah. Understand, this is the reality for us. This is time check. That's why 2022, August 31st, the day our ancestors declared us independent, we shall declare him independent and free from all those false accusations. Listen, you in England, the belly of the beast. He was in America, the second beast belly. You understand? The second beast belly. That belly, this belly came from that belly. We're all in the same belly. It's just two different places. He's in the belly of the beast. He raised the consciousness of African people to scared white people all over the world. There have been other men that made contributions. Kwame Nkrumah, just one. They made contributions. Queen Mother Moore made a contribution. Henrietta Vinton Davis made a contribution. Sekou Touré made a contribution. Jomo Kenyatta, okay, made a contribution. Sorry about that. You know, and all of those contributions comes on the heels of the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. They were men before Garvey. Edward Blyden. We know that they were men before Garvey. But Garvey's message was the fire. It lit fire. It traveled. It traveled where he could not go. The papers that were printed were banned and barred in many countries, and they were snuck in because it fed that thirst for freedom. And that's where we are today, feeding that thirst, moving us forward, raising us above the fray. I'll say and I'll say it again. We exonerate Garvey. We exonerate the Messiah. I'm never going to ask a president of a country, even if he looked like me, because I know if he looked like me and he's president, he's not president for me. He's president for the country that he's president of. I'm just saying, I know Obama made a contribution, but he was not a black president. He was black and he was a president. Understood? So he too, I would not have expected to exonerate Garvey because he was afraid of what the white folks would say and or do. I don't look for that. I look for us, men of African descent, women of African descent, children of African descent, to say we exonerate Garvey. And if I can say that again, I expect women of African descent because African women lead. One of the first slogans out of RC 2020 was African women lead. We put forward programs and brought many sisters to give us guidance and information and direction. African women lead. I may be president general, but I listen to my sisters because I know they have guidance, they have power, they have insight. Because sometimes I'm going to be like a man and I'm going to get a little crazy. I get a little angry. But I do that because I have a tendency not to respond and respect the emotions that drive me. We are driven, and yet we have to focus. So all of those things have to be controlled. And sometimes we don't do that. And that's our truth. Sometimes we don't. But I will never go against my people for someone else. We exonerate the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Messiah Month, 10-day Mawari.
Yeah, both. MPG.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.